Hi friends, welcome. I'm Courtney, the owner and founder of Blooming Kitchen. For the last 7 weeks, we have been digging into what it means to tend to our inner soil, breaking down each element that makes soil healthy in nature and how those same lessons apply to our own well-being and growth journey. I'm recording this week's soil series reflection in case you'd rather listen than read. Maybe you're driving, walking, cooking, gardening, or you might just need a better way to take this all in. This week, we're talking about the element of water, the importance of flow, hydration, balance, and what it means to stop fighting the current of life. Over the past several weeks, we've been working together to build healthy inner soil. We talked about things like structure, about composting life experiences, about nourishment, building sanctuary, and finding our breath again through the element of air. And now water enters the picture, because even the richest soil can't sustain growth without moisture, without movement, without flow. And honestly, neither can we. Water teaches us simple but powerful things. It has forward momentum. It moves around obstacles. It adapts and carves new paths when necessary. It nourishes the soil, is absorbed, rises again, and then repeats its natural rhythm. When we resist change, when we try to control every season, every emotion, and every shift in our life, we create tension. Tension is exhausting. When fear builds walls around us and we become guarded or closed off, we actually interrupt our own flow and we slowly start to dry up. In a garden, when rain falls on dry, compacted soil, the water is repelled. It can't reach the roots that need it most. But when soil has been tended, when it's healthy and balanced and aerated, it absorbs and has the capacity to hold more moisture. And the same is true for us. When we've created structure, restored balance, grounded ourselves, hydrated our bodies, regulated our nervous systems, and tended to our emotional lives, life becomes easier to move through. Not effortless, but supported. We're able to absorb what nourishes us and release what no longer does. Plants need water to absorb nutrients, to transport minerals, and ultimately to stay resilient. Our bodies are no different, and hydration impacts things like our energy, our mood, our clarity, digestion, and our response to stress. But hydration isn't only physical. There's emotional hydration too. Moments where you can fill your inner cup, so to speak. Moments to admire beauty, space for connection, time in nature and quiet reflection, and healthy friendships and community. These things, they replenish us. They give us more of what we need to sustain our own well-being and growth so that we don't try to pull from dry land and then burn out. Water also teaches us about flow and about anchoring. Sometimes surrendering looks like just letting the current carry you. My dad once told me, in a river, you'll spend a lot of energy fighting the current. You're going downstream either way, so you might as well enjoy the ride. And that stayed with me. Often we aren't exhausted by change itself. We're exhausted from fighting it. We're exhausted from fighting the current. But I also know that life can feel heavy and overwhelming. Mine did this week. Like you're getting swept away in that current. But that's our invitation to anchor. Think of it as stepping on a rock in a river. It's a place where you can go to find safety, a place where you pause, reconnect to your breath, ground yourself in your body, and remember what's true. And then when you're ready, you can step back into the water and you can continue with the flow. That rhythm, the one of grounding and flowing, is where growth happens. It's the balance between structure and movement that allows soil and plants and us to truly thrive. There's a season in my life when I lived near a river, and that river became my sanctuary. I went there almost every single day. But I wasn't just learning how to surrender to the current. I was also tending my inner soil. I was building structure in this season where there had been a lot of instability, composting experiences that once felt really heavy and hard to deal with. I focused on restoring nourishment and just ultimately learning to be still and to breathe again. And the river became the place where all of that started to integrate. And it taught me about flow, yes, but it also taught me about balance, about the importance of anchoring when needed, about grounding myself, reconnecting to my breath and my body and nature, and then choosing at any point to re-enter the water and flow with the current of my life and trust where it wanted to take me. That season didn't change my life because I let go. It changed my life because I learned to hold both grounding and movement. And in that delicate balance, something shifted. And it was in that very next season of my life that Blooming Kitchen was born. Edible flowers became my anchor point. Growing them, cooking with them, learning about them, and just slowing down enough to notice each of their colors, their scents, and their textures. They were never really just a garnish to me. They were a practice and something where I found a ritual through, a way of tending my inner soil while still allowing life to move through me. And that's why I share these teachings today, because transformation didn't come from just one element alone or one season alone. It came from learning how to work with these things all together, because I'm going to go through them multiple times in my life, and so will you. Next week, we'll move through into the final element of this series, rest. The kind of rest where we trust what is trying to grow, where we learn to fully receive what life is ready to plant within us. But for now, this week is about water. It's about honoring hydration, flow, and finding softening. If you'd like the full written reflection, it's available on Substack. And if you're curious about bringing more beauty and nourishment into your everyday life, the Edible Flower Club is open with monthly and annual options to welcome you into that space. But for today, for this week, I invite you to try embodying water. Maybe that's just drinking enough water. Maybe it's savoring your favorite tea, taking a really long bath, sitting near a river, a stream, or if you're lucky enough, the ocean, or simply pausing long enough to just breathe. Let yourself soften in those moments and notice where you're being invited to flow in your life. Thank you for listening, and I can't wait to connect with you again next week.